an amazing week. Busy week, which is a good thing. But I'm here with y'all and I'm excited. So today I wanted to talk about, and I know I've talked about this before, but I want to talk to the people who like to do their research, right? It's one thing to have a trusted advisor like myself, but there are some people that want to know, like, if I wanted to do my own research, where do I go, right? And what am I looking for? So the good thing about the era that we're in right now is that you can look up everything online, right? We can go to different websites. We can, for my internet savvy people, because I know, some of us, still struggle with going online, and that's okay. No judgment here. No judgment here. But for those of you who want to actually do your own research on, the home buying process, what's available to you, I feel that my, job having this radio show is to educate you guys, right? So I want to give you the tips and tricks. Even though I can be your trusted advisor, you can double check the facts that I give you, right? Because some people are like, yeah, you say that, but let me see it for myself. And that's not a bad thing. I actually love that. I have some clients that actually look up, the homes before I send it to them. We have some that know everything from top to bottom about a home before I go show it to them. And I love that because it makes my job so much easier. And because basically I'm just telling you what you pretty much already know, you know, and then helping you just get through the process of the paperwork and all the behind the scenes things that I tell you about, right? So I actually had a client of mine, so it's story time. So I had a client of mine, and she was like that. She was someone who did her own research. She already looked at the neighborhood that she wanted to be in. She wanted to be in a specific school zone. She wanted to be close, a certain mileage away from her home. So I mean, she pretty much did everything that I kind of would normally go through. And she sent me all the homes that she wanted to see. And once we went into the homes and I was telling her about this and telling her about that, she was like, yep, I looked that up. That's true. So, two things. She probably, number one, was seeing like if I know some of the stuff that she knew, right? Because I say I'm a trusted advisor. Let me see if she knows what she says that she knows, right? So, it could have been that. But it also could have been like, I want to look at it for myself because I don't want to not be in the know. Because some people are just okay with listening to their agent and nothing else. And that's okay too. But today I'm talking to the people that want to do their own research, right? My fiance is like, whenever he has something to say, I did my research before I talked about this. I know the survey. I did the survey. I did the comps or whatever he says. I'm like, okay. So today I want to talk to those people that want to do their own research. How do I get into a home? What should I do before? And like I said, I know I talked about this, but probably not as in depth, or I haven't told you where to actually look for this information that you need prior to, right? So one of the things is you should always know your credit score, right? Before you start the process of buying. Know where your score is, because you don't want to be surprised when the lender is like, well, your score is XYZ, whatever it is, right? I told you guys my story. I didn't know my score was, well, actually, no, I looked up my credit and my score was a 469 at one point, right? Yes, the scores do go that low. So when I looked at my score, I'm like, whoa, I need some help before I can actually do this process of buying, right? So the good thing is there are different sites that you can go to make sure that you know your accurate scores. So I know a lot of people say, "Oh, I looked on Credit Karma for my scores." Well, Credit Karma is not a good gauge of your score when it comes to the buying process, right? The lenders use a different um, FICO score. They use more of your FICO score. Credit Karma use Vantage scores, and it's two different things. You can actually look up what Vantage score. I don't want to go too deep into that, but they're two different scores. So Credit Karma, I'll tell you what they're good for. Credit Karma is good for if you want to see all your accounts, if you want to see if anybody's reporting you late, if you want to see when your credit card payment actually gets reported to your credit bureau, because I remember I told you about if you're trying to fix your credit, and it's good to know not only when your due date is, but also when they actually report to the credit bureau. So Credit Karma is good to see like overall where you are. If you have any late payments, any collections, those things, that Credit Karma is awesome for that. Because anytime your credit updates, whether it be a credit card, a loan payment, whatever, Credit Karma is very accurate when it comes to that. Like I said, I went through the process, and I know that they give good information when it comes to that. But now, if you want to know what your real score is, the two sites that you can go to, one is Experian. Experian is usually pretty accurate on where you are score wise. And then the other one is My FICO. It's MyFICO. And My FICO, although you have to pay for some of their services, if you want the most accurate, when I was going through the process, they actually have a section in their portal that says mortgage score. And I don't want to say that it's 100% correct. Nothing's going to be 100% until the lender that you're going to use pulls it. But they are very close to what they have. So My FICO, they have different tiers that you can purchase. And when I was going through the process, I wanted to make sure I picked the tier that had your mortgage scores. So believe it or not, different banks look up different scores. So you have your mortgage score. There's a credit card score on My FICO. There is a car, if you're looking to purchase a car. There's a car score on My FICO. So these are things that you can research yourself before you actually go to a lender to know where you are, where your credit score is. So I'm not advocating for this, but what you can do is pay for the service 1 month, right? Get all the information that you need from My FICO, and then you kind of know where you're working from there, and kind of like, cancel the service. But you didn't hear that from me. So for me, when I was going through the process, I basically, I think I did it for maybe like 6 months, because my score was very low. So I wanted to make sure that it was updated every time I did something new. Now, for you that just wants to know what your score is, then you may not need 6 months. I'm just being honest, right? Just giving you some tips on what you can do. But yeah, so My FICO, look that up. That, like I said, it's the most accurate that I've seen, and it's not going to be 100%, but you'll know pretty close to where you are. And like Credit Karma, you're going to know if you're late. You're going to know if you are what collections are showing up. And then, so there's 3 different credit bureaus. All 3 credit bureaus will be on My FICO. Credit Karma only has 2, but on My FICO, you'll know all 3. So you'll have the Experian, you'll have your Equifax, and you have your TransUnion all on one. And so you'll have and sometimes the reports are different. So it is good to know all 3. And when it's time for you to apply for a mortgage, they're going to use the middle score of those 3. So it's good to know those 3, right? So you want to go ahead and do that. So when it comes to knowing where you are, when it comes to your credit, those are the 3 things that I would recommend. The 2 for the scores are Experian and My FICO. And then the 1 to just know overall where you are is Credit Karma. Right? So these are for the people, like I said, who want to kind of do their own research and know where they are. And then another thing that people want to do or should do is, what is your budget? What can you realistically pay every month, right? Before you even get to the lender, because the lender, their job is to make money, right? So if you could get a $500,000 house, they're gonna approve you for a $500,000 house. But I don't want you to be house poor. And what that means, and I've seen it before, unfortunately, someone buys a house, but they can't afford to buy furniture. They can't, like, they're struggling to pay utilities, because you pretty much purchase more than what your budget could allow. Yeah, you probably make the money, but if you have a lot of debt or you have a lot of obligations, you may not be able to afford that $500,000 payment. And especially with the rates fluctuating the way they are, You want to be like realistic. So you can actually create a budget. And I've learned this when I was going through the process, how to create a budget. So what should you do when you create a budget? So there's different tools online that you can actually create a budget with, right? But there's, of course, I'm always going to recommend the free. So you can actually start a Google Doc, right? A Google document. That Google document, you can, there's like a spreadsheet one that's similar to Microsoft, what they have. If you have Microsoft, that family plan where you can do Microsoft Word and Microsoft Excel and all that. Google has the same thing, but you don't have to pay for that service. But if you're already paying for that service, you can use those different tools as well. But I'm going to navigate for the free, right? So, what you can do, you're going to write down every single bill that you pay. So, what I did, I started from my credit report. Everything that gets reported to the credit bureaus, I started with that because that is what the lender is going to look at first. They're going to see how much debt you have. That's how they determine your debt to income, right? Your debt to income is how much debt you have compared to how much money you make, right? So they're going to look at those things. So they start from the credit bureau. So that's where you should start. So what normally they recommend is what they call the snowball effect, where it's a way to pay off your debt, but it's also a way to see what is your highest payment all the way down to your lowest payment. So you want to put that on your spreadsheet, right? So based on how much your monthly payment is, so if you have a payment that's 1,000 and that's your highest one, it starts from the top and then you work your way down from there, right? So that's from the credit bureau. Now you'll go to your things are not reported to your credit bureau, but it's taken out of your bank, off of your bank account. Just you have maybe have some automatic things that you pay on a monthly basis. Go to your bank statement and see what are your regular monthly charges for those things. You put that on that same spreadsheet. Okay, this is what I have to pay. That's not on my credit report, but it's still part of my debt, right? So overall, let's say you write down the stuff from your credit bureau, your stuff from your bank account, because once again, these are things that your lender will look at. So the lender will look at your credit. They're going to ask you for your 2 months of bank statements. So they're going to see what gets deducted every month from your account as well. So they're going to see the stuff, of course, from your credit report and the things that don't report. So you add that to your budget. So say overall you do all your calculations and your monthly debt for credit cards, loans, um, whatever installment payments that you have, it comes up to $2,500 a month. I'm just throwing a number out there. So you have $2,500 of worth of bills, and you make $5,000 a month, right? So that's your debt compared to your income, and so that's what the lenders usually determine on how much house you can get based on that. So if you already know that information, you already know your budget, you'd say, okay, based on this, I don't want my payments to be more than $1,500, right? For the sake of the numbers that I just gave you. So based on this, I know I could probably comfortably maybe $1,500, maybe $1,000, whatever it is, right? Whatever the number is. That is what you start with. So that's when you go on. Here's another site that you could go on, Zillow or Realtor.com or Remax.com. A lot of these websites have mortgage calculators, right? So you'll go into the mortgage calculator and you can just also type in mortgage calculator and the mortgage calculator will pull up if you like, just Google it. But those sites that I just gave you have mortgage calculators on them. So you go to your mortgage calculator and you put, okay, based on when I did my budget, I want my payments to be at $1,500. How much house could I get based on that? Boom, it'll pull up for you. So now let's say it comes up with 250, right? That's your max budget based on the payments that you want to have. So now when the lender says, "Oh, I'm going to approve you for 300,000," you can say, "No, no, no, no. I only want 250 because I want my payments to be at $1,500. So now this is, like I said, something that you can look up for yourself before you even get to the lender. So now you know, you'll tell your lender what you want as opposed to your lender telling you what they want from you, right? Because you still want to be able to live. Like for me, I wanted to be able to buy a house, still travel, still shop, because y'all should know by now I'm a shopaholic. I wanted to be able to have that extra income. So I didn't want my payments to be crazy. I got approved for more, but I brought for less. And that is my recommendation for anyone. Yes, I want you to have nice things. I'm not telling you that, but I also want you to not be house poor, paying all your bills and have nothing left. So in a few minutes, probably like 2 more minutes, I'll be taking a break. But before I do that, so we talked about creating a budget. We talked about how do you look up your credit. We talked about mortgage calculators. What I also want to talk about is down payment assistance programs, right? That's a big one right now because everybody's looking on down payment assistance programs. I also want to talk about different loan programs that can assist you with having not only a good payment, but also not having to pay so much out of pocket for your down payment and your closing costs. And so I'm going to tell you some different programs to look up when we get back. And then what else before we leave today? Because, my show, I want to give you guys so much information, but if I don't get to everything I want to come to say today, remember my direct phone number is 678-849-4734. And the number to call into the station, and I'll be here for about another 15 minutes or so, is 404-361-1571. If there is a question that you want to ask me that I haven't brought up as of yet and you want me to talk about before the show ends. So give me about like 2 minutes and I'll be right back. Hey y'all, I'm back. All right, so before the show ends, I want to talk about a few more things. And like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to call at 404-361-1571. If you miss an opportunity to call me at the station, my direct number is 678-849-4734. All right, so down payment assistance. I want to bring this up because I hear this 9 out of 10 times when I am working with a first-time home buyer. And they're like, what kind of down payment assistance programs there's for first-time home buyers? Well, I will say this. Even if you're not a first-time home buyer, there are some programs that you can still take advantage of without being a first-time home buyer. But for my first-time home buyers, there is a program called Georgia Dream. And you can actually look this up. It's of course, a Georgia program, and you can actually look it up, and they provide up to 10,000 worth of down payment assistance. Some 15,000, I believe. So don't quote me on that, but that is something that you can look up. Georgia Dream is the name of the Georgia program. And if you're listening outside of Georgia, you can Google down payment assistant programs for whatever city that you're in, whatever state that you're in, and see if there's something that they provide. So you can actually look that up and see if there's anything that pertains to you. And they'll also tell you the qualifications. I'm not going to get into the qualifications because I'm not a lender, but the website to look up and do your own research will have all the qualifications. And usually there is some kind of income restriction. I will be honest with that. And of course, your score has to be in at a certain place. So my recommendation, if you're looking for a down payment assistance program, try to get your score as high as possible. Anything over a 640 will be very helpful. You can also be at a 620, and also it helps with the type of rate that you're going to get as well. So 620, 640, anything over 640, you get in the sevens and stuff like that, you're getting a great rate, and you have more access to different things. So credit is definitely important. So you should definitely know where you are when it comes to that. So if you want to actually kind of see where the rates are before a lender tells you, okay, these are what the rates are, and here's what's going on, you can actually go to bankrate.com, and it'll tell you based on where you're located what the rates that you can expect to get on your pre-approval when you start looking. So you can actually go to bankrate.com and see where the rates are right now. And like I said, they're fluctuating between 5 and 7% depending on the day. So rates change pretty much every day. So you want to look at that before you start the process. So like I said, I'm talking to the people that want to do research. So these are things that you can look up. Also, I would hope that you use me when you're looking to purchase, but you can also look up. Oh, and I do want to mention too. So I live in Georgia, and I can service anyone in Georgia, but I also can help you if you're outside of Georgia as well. I have helped my aunt. I have helped a friend of mine who is out of the state purchase a home, sell a home. So you don't necessarily have to be in the same state as me, and I can still help you, and I can still go over the process with you like I would do any other client. But you can actually look up realtors. So remember, I told you guys that realtors are, you have like, not, you're just not a real estate agent. You're actually someone who has decided to be a part of an association to hold you more accountable, to train you some more, and to make sure that you're doing the right thing when it comes to consumers. So if you look up the National Association of Realtors, you can see the different realtors that are on there based on their location, based on, they have a little, some facts about them or whatever the case may be. You can go to the National Association of Realtors if you are looking for someone aside from me. But like I said, I hope you will use me. But I am part of the National Association of Realtors. And if you're looking for another realtor, you can actually look that up on there as well. And so another thing I want to talk about before we get off are, so you did your budget, you looked up to see how much your payments are going to be, or you want them to be. You looked up your credit score. Now it's time to see, okay, what are my non-negotiables for a house? What are the pros? What are the cons? So a lot of people, they know, of course, everything that they want. As I told you before, a lot of times when you're a first-time home buyer, you're going to get between 80 and sometimes 95% of what you're looking for. You're not going to find the perfect home because you're not building it from the ground up. For like, if you're building it from the ground up, you're going to get everything that you want because it's getting built that way. But if you're talking about a home that's already up, right, then it's not going to it's going to have a lot. There's homes that it may have a lot of what you want, but it's not going to have every single thing. So you may have to compromise on some things. But what I do want you to do is write a list on what is your must have, what are your pros, like what is something that I definitely want to have in my next home. And then what are your cons? Like, okay, I could probably not deal with this, or I don't have to have this, or I definitely don't want this. What is that list, right? So there's not really a website for it, but you can actually go on some of the search engines that I mentioned to you before, like Zillow, like Remax.com, like Realtor.com. You can also look at the different features of a home, and that could tell you what you pretty much want, right? Some people want a nice kitchen with an island. Some people want a big backyard because they like to entertain. That's me. Some people want a big main bedroom because they want a California king bed in that room, right? So everybody has their thing that they want to have. Some people want a big bathroom because they like to soak in the tub at least twice a week or every day. You know what I mean? So everybody has their thing. So think about what your thing is, right? And write that down so you can already be prepared. Because if today's show is for the people who want to be proactive and already know what they want on every aspect. So they looked at their budget, they looked at their credit, they looked at where they want their rates to be, where their payments are going to be. You know what I mean? So this is who I'm talking to today, the people who want to kind of be proactive. Now, if you're one of those people who are like, okay, I'm going to trust my realtor, these are things I'm going to go over with you as well. But if you wanted to look up those things prior to, this is who I'm talking to today, right? And so you did make sure that you do your pros and cons list, or your non-negotiables, whatever you want to call it, so that when it's time, you're ready, right? You want to make sure that you're ready to go. And once you have all of that together, as you know, we're going to go through that pre-approval process. My recommendation is to look up 3 lenders, right? Or apply with 3 lenders, and who's going to give you the best rate. Two is fine as well. So 2 to 3 lenders is fine, just so that you can have an idea on where your rate, what they could offer you. And sometimes you want them to battle for your business. You know what I mean? So that's something that you can do as well. So you can go to bank rate for those companies as well, because it'll have different companies um when it comes to that. So yeah, so I'm about to leave y'all soon, y'all. It's been nice, but it's almost time for me to say farewell until next week. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show today. I hope you guys learned a little bit more, and you have the tools to be prepared for home ownership, right? So as you know, you can call me at 678-849-4734. Follow me on social media at Trisha the Realtor. On Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Um, and yeah, I'm here. So have a great week. Have a great weekend. And I'll see y'all next week. Happy Friday.